Hi, I'm Kelly Robbins, lead practitioner at Centers for Spiritual Living, Boulder Valley. Welcome to our online community. In this week's service, you'll find an opportunity to deepen your connection with your spiritual self through music, inspiration, spiritual practice, and our message. I invite you to sit back, relax, open your heart and mind in order to uplift and connect with your divine self. Thank you for being part of our online community and enjoy the service.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Nunamaker, practitioner serving CSL Boulder Valley this morning, and I am so happy to be virtually with you all this sunny Sunday morning. Let's go into prayer. Breathing in this breath of life, knowing that the breath of life is God. It is the oneness, it is the Spirit, it is the Supreme Being that resides in each one of us. Oh, knowing that, I know that God is right here with us in each person's room and each person's place of worship, their new virtual place of worship. That this is where God is, because there is no place where God is not. There's no time that God is not. There's no activity or thought that God is not. And knowing that, I know that God is here with us today for this service. Breathing that in and knowing that the message that Claudia is giving today is just exactly what needs to be heard by this congregation, by all those who are watching and listening. And I know the music is absolutely inspired, as it always is, by Karen Karsh. I am so grateful to be part of this community, and so grateful that you're letting me into your lives this morning. I release this prayer and say, and so it is. We like to start out our services here speaking our purpose, mission, and vision. If you would like to repeat it with me, go right ahead, or just listen and take it all in. This is what our center stands for. Our purpose: celebrating divinity, enhancing humanity, and creating community. Our mission: providing tools and support to awaken our community to its spiritual magnificence. And our vision: inspiring and uplifting every one of us to transform the world. I'd like to bring your attention right now to the candle. The candle, the lit candle, I think you can see that it's lit. It represents that spirit within, knowing that the light of spirit is in each one of us and every person, and that we can use our time getting closer and closer to that light within, and also recognizing the light without, the light within each person that we meet and in each activity, even the virus. I have some readings for today. The first one is by Flannery O'Connor. Where you come from is gone. Where you thought you were going was never there. And where you are is no good unless you can get away from it. Where is there a place for you to be? No place. Nothing outside of you can give you any place. In yourself right now is all the place you've got. And this next reading is by Howard Thurman. There is something in every one of you that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine inside yourself. It is the only true guide you will ever have, and if you cannot hear it, you will all of your life spend your days on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. We have an affirmation today, and I will say it once and then repeat it a second time. And we'll have a short silence. In consciously writing my story, I live in limitless potential. In consciously writing my story, I live in limitless potential. I'd like to introduce our wonderful, inspired musician, Karen Karsh.
Good morning, everybody. It's so good to be with you and to know that you're here with me. And when we're together, Spirit is in this place. We come together as a family. We come here as we are. We come with arms wide open. We gather here in love. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise, Spirit's in this place. We sing in celebration. We sing words of praise. We affirm all life as sacred. We declare peace is here. Yes, Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. In this place, Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Ooh, Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise, Spirit's in this place. Spirit's in this place. Spirit's in this place.
Let's pray. Going into that oneness within, that oneness around, that oneness through each one of us. Knowing that we are expressions of God. Each one of us are individual expressions of God. And I know that about each person around the world as they are worshiping today in their own way with their people, their community, and knowing that their community is our community, that we are one. Oh, breathing that in, I know that there is a prosperity within our community that is showing itself right now, a prosperity of caring, a prosperity of knowing, a prosperity of connection. And I also know that those who are suffering from losing their job or not having income right now, that God's got their back, that there will be something coming into their lives, helping them get through this time. And knowing that those people who are suffering from this virus or some other illness, or have loved ones or friends who are, I know that God is also with each of us, each person, those that are grieving, those that are saddened, those that are deepening, those that are feeling this sickness. It is all God. Every part of this is God. And that God is showing up and bringing health, bringing prosperity, bringing joy, bringing this connection that can be brought to each of us in probably no other way. I know that each one of us are safe. I know that each one of us are prosperous in our lives. And I know that our community continues to grow even in this time of apparent separation. And I know that this community is a beacon showing that we are all connected and all one. With great gratitude of being part of this community, part of this service, and part of each person who is watching, I release this prayer knowing that the words are true and are the truth, and that everybody listening is blessed and a blessing. Thank you. Release this prayer and say, and so it is.
Alleluia. 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 We are one now. 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 We are one. So we sing Alleluia. 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 Alleluia.
It is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker today, our very own Claudia Milner. Claudia is a practitioner at Mile High, and she's also giving her services here to CSL Boulder Valley, and we're so grateful she's here. She found the teachings, the religious science teaching, the teaching of CSL, back when she was 15 years old. So she's had a couple years to really live these principles. She's also has spent over 25 years as an educator, and she is now a certified life coach specializing in resiliency. She's a speaker, a facilitator, and a student of life. She approaches her work with gratitude and joy, always embracing spiritual principles, authenticity, and uniqueness. She is up for a shared laugh, and it is her life mission to spread kindness. Do as I do, and I see you are the driving forces of her work. Here is Claudia Milner. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Unwritten. We love stories, don't we? Stories make us laugh. They motivate and inspire us, entertain and inform us. Sometimes we live vicariously through stories of great adventures and journeys. Whenever I hear the phrase, tell me a story, I think about when our daughter was young and we would watch a lot of Walt Disney animated shows. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs always comes to mind, where in the evening, after Snow White has been discovered in the house, they've washed up and they've eaten and they're settling in for the evening. Sleepy leans over a box and says, "Tell us a story." And Happy says, "A true story." And Bashful says, "A love story." That's a great memory for me whenever I think about story and story time and storytelling and story writing. So we're storytellers. That's what we do. We share stories all the time. We share stories of the day that we've had, our experiences, our joys, our sorrows. So I have a question for you. How is the story of you unfolding? The quote that we started with from Sidney Sheldon is, "A blank piece of paper is God's way of telling us how hard it is to be God." I chuckled because I know it's simple but not easy to write our story. That is until we remember we are in co-creation with God. Until we remember we are an expression of the divine. So today I ask you, how's your memory? And what genre are you choosing to write your story in? Is it a comedy? Is it a dramedy, fairy tale? So today I invite you to consider honoring your writer's craft. So consciously writing our story, it's, a blank piece of paper is always what is before us. And in this time of shelter in place, we have a grand opportunity to consciously co-create with the universal intelligence to write the next chapter of our life, both individually and collectively. So we are the product of the story of our lives. Our stories from the past shape our attitudes, our beliefs, our behaviors, and the results. And authoring a good story takes clarity and attention to detail. It takes conscious attention and tons of revisions. We are our own editors. So are we up for the task of consciously writing our next page, our next chapter? I think we are. So to begin with, we start in the past. What are the stories we've told about the past? Who are the characters? What was the setting? What was the plot? Perhaps what were the themes? So looking at my past through the lens of a writer, I clearly see the rebellious girl with an attitude of, if I can't get their approval, then by God, I'll get their attention. That was regarding my family. But during this time, I learned how to rely on myself and build my resilience through my spirituality. So how do we know what is really real when we're reflecting on the past? So now is an invitation that I extend to you to mindfully and objectively reflect on our past experiences, background information, objectively. The old TV shows where the police officer would say to the lady, the witness, "Just the facts, ma'am, just the facts." So we want to reflect as objectively as we can through the eyes of an observer, noticing facts without judgment or emotion, and asking ourselves, how do we know this is true? So one of the ways that I have done this in my past, to examine my past, is I take a 10-foot perspective. So I bring myself out as the observer for an omnipotent perspective. Of course, I don't know what the other person is going to say necessarily, but at least I have a sense of what's happening in the room. And by doing that, I'm able to look at everything that is happening without being involved emotionally as best as I can. I'm not saying this is easy, it's simple. So in other words, so instead of reflecting back and saying, oh, she slammed that coffee cup down on the counter. Well, you could say, as the cup was placed on the counter, it made a loud noise. Semantics? Yes. Words are powerful. See if it works for you. Who knows? So the next thing too is when we are looking at our past, what was the lesson or gift in the situation? Whether it was a seemingly positive or a challenging situation. If it was challenging, remember this. Richard Bach writes in Illusions, there is no such thing as a problem without a gift for you in its hands. Here in our past, we can take inventory of what worked, what served us, what distracted us from our purpose or our goal, what was in alignment with our integrity and what wasn't. There's so many clues in our past that can serve us in the future. I do want to give a caution though. We don't want to dwell here. We don't want to go into our past and set up a tent and have a 6-week camping trip, okay? We're dipping our toe in for pieces of information. So because our past offers us gems and reveals gifts of information. And here we are at a place where we can notice, we can bless and release those experiences that have truly been our teachers. And here we can review and view what characteristics we want to write into the next chapter and which characteristics of ourselves that we want to leave behind as the page turns. This is all about reflecting through a different lens. So now we move into the present. And so what are our story ideas for the future? What are our dreams and goals and hopes and ways of being that we are creating, that we get to create with the new chapter? The present is where new beginnings live and are yet unwritten. The present is where we get to outline our story, where we get to lean in and apply spiritual laws for our life. I have a couple questions though before we get started there. Who is writing our story? What outside influences are impacting your story? Social media, 24/7 news media, the politics, reports, conflicting reports on what's going on with COVID-19? Or are we leaning into places where we are nurtured and served and loved and supported with our spiritual community, with our teachers, with our reading? What are the influences that are creating the story that we have, that we're writing? The second question of this is what is really real? How do we know what is real? And that's a question that only you can answer as you're moving through this process. I can't answer it for you. And then next, how is our story unfolding? Are we conscious or not of the thoughts we are thinking, the ideas that are forming our beliefs that create the narrative of our lives? Are we on autopilot and just letting things happen? There was a good portion of my life where I was on autopilot because of the stress, I'm assuming, in my young life. I don't have memory, but I'm here to tell the story. So apparently, I was on autopilot, but I was not conscious. It was very interesting. And remember that 10-foot perspective that I referred to in the past, looking at past situations. Can we use that in the present? Yeah, we totally can. I have a quick story about that. I was called to the principal's office as a teacher, as a classroom educator, as an adult. I was called to the principal's office. And this wasn't my first time. So I was a little bit more prepared. It was a heated conversation. And what I did is I took that perspective, that 10-foot perspective. And in doing that, I pulled my emotion out of the situation at the table where I was sitting. And I was able to calmly ask and answer questions. I was able to maintain my professionalism and positivity. And because of that, we were able to come to a great mutual agreement, and which led to some changes in policy. So, that's an opportunity for us to look at possibly changing the way we converse in our present. Here in the present is where we get to co-create with the divine. This is our spiritual practice in connection with the universal, and this is so essential. Here is where we know that through prayer and listening to that still small voice, we are guided and supported and guarded in our journey. Here we know the power of choice to make mindful decisions. Ernest Holmes says life externalizes at the level of our thought. So, what thoughts are becoming the stories that we're telling ourselves? And could it be that in telling a new story, we live a new reality? Let's make it a good one. Let's tell a good story. So, when we look at the constructs of a story, there's story elements, and depending on your source, you have different story elements. So I took some of the most common elements and I applied science of mind, metaphysical perspectives to it. So the first of the 5 story elements is character development. Who's the main character? Well, shoot, we are each our own main character in our own story, right? FDR said, you were just an extra in everyone else's play. So yeah, even though people are important to us, we are still the main character, right? And knowing that we are the main character in our story and that everybody else is the main character in their story helps us to understand the interaction between all these main characters. So question is who do we want to be? Who do I want to be? Who do we want to be now in this moment, on this day, looking at this blank page? Who do I want to be now? And the deeper question, I think, is who do we want to be on the other side of COVID-19? When the intensity of shelter in place is changed. I have no idea what it's going to look like. Don't have any idea of what it's going to feel like. But I do know that when I come out on the other side of COVID-19, I want to be a changed person. And so who do I want to be on the other side of COVID-19? The second story element is the setting. And a lot of times what we do is we pigeonhole that to, it's a house on the hill in the town of Mayberry, or it's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. What I propose here, though, is that we look at our internal environment as the setting. How are we feeling and being and doing inside here? So are we nurturing our internal setting? Are we giving ourselves self-care, taking care of ourselves? And are we doing our spiritual practice? This is a great opportunity to deepen our consciousness in our practice. The third element is events or problems. And so even though I'd like to tell you that, we can move through life without any challenges or difficulties, that's not true. There will be challenges and difficulties. M. Scott Peck wrote in the first 3 words of the first chapter of The Road Less Traveled. He says, life is difficult. There will be obstacles. There will be unexpected changes. This is our human experience. And just like there's going to be challenges, there's going to be heart-bursting joys. There's going to be delight beyond our imagination. There's going to be moments where we bust out in laughing till our sides hurt and our hearts are full. There's going to be accomplishments and achievements and milestones reached and goals achieved. Oh my goodness, there's that too. So knowing that between birth and death, there are so many opportunities. The fourth element is solution. So in this case, I'm asking, how are we moving through the experiences, the positive, and the challenging ones? How are we moving through them? Remember, we're the main character. We get to set the tone of our whole entire masterpiece. So how are we traveling the train of our life? Who are we being? Who do we want to be? And here's where this is where we get to use planning. I always had my kids write an outline or a mind map. You know, what needs to happen in the next moment, in the next week, in the next moment, hour, second, breath. And in this, when we're doing the planning, the mindfulness, we're being present now, in the present moment, and not worrying about the future. Yes, we have to plan, but we can't worry. Worry is just a way of praying for what we don't want to happen. So the mindfulness of being here now, and spiritual practice, of course. So how are we moving? What's our solution? And then the word choice. Word choice is huge. So this is the fifth element of word choice, and this is also word choice in thought. So going back to Snow White, do you remember her song or her story ends up being a song that it says, "Someday my prince will come." And at the time, it didn't bother me, but yesterday, as I was listening to it, it was like fingernails on a chalkboard. Someday my prince will come. It's all out there. And if she wasn't living in a fairy tale, that someday would never have come. We want to, when we are using our words and creating our thoughts, being in the positive, in the present. I am now. I am. And those two words, I am, are so incredibly powerful. So be careful the words that come after those two words, because the words that come after I am, it's an affirmation. So in your word thought choice and your thoughts, be mindful, because you know what? Words are powerful. When you're using your words, what is the attitude behind them? Are they snarky, or are they positive? And where is your attention? And because what we focus on grows, right? So where is that attention? And the last question about your word choice or your thoughts is, what kind of seeds, what kind of word seeds are we planting? You know, we know that we have to weed our garden because lots of things keep popping up, because that's our human condition. But what kind of seeds are we intentionally planting? So there's a song by Natasha Bedingfield, and it's called Unwritten. And in that song, I encourage you to look that up on YouTube, because the words are amazing. So I'm going to have a couple of quotes from her song here. So the first one, as we wrap up our elements of a story, she says, "Staring at the blank page before you, drench yourself in words unspoken." Yeah. Drench yourself in words unspoken. Love that. So this brings us to the end, where we're looking at the future. And I don't have any words for that, because the future is still unwritten. Our future is still unfolding. And Natasha Bedingfield, again, states this perfectly. She says, live your life with arms wide open. Today is where your book begins. The rest is still unwritten. So, dear ones, in not rewriting the next chapter of our lives, we objectively examine our past experiences for beneficial lessons and ways of being that we want to bring into the future. And in this present moment, we hold fast to our faith and trust, knowing it is that as we plan, the elements of our story are strong and positive. And we know the next chapter of our lives is limitless potential. Choose well, plan and plant confidently, and live limitlessly. Let's pray. Oh, it is within this moment that I just drop down and in recognition of the fact that there is only one power and presence, this divine intelligence that moves through and is each one of us. It nurtures and supports and guides all that we are, all that we need to be, knowing that each one of us is absolutely an expression of that divine intelligence, that vibration of love, of light, of grace, of joy, knowing that that is the truth of who we are. I speak my word for anybody listening to this, for everybody within the sound of my voice, every single person that we come in contact with, knowing this truth of who they are, knowing faith and hope as we move collectively through this condition of COVID-19, knowing blessings abound, that goodness emerges and connections are made, knowing complete equilibrium and effervescence in any individual who is physically suffering from this condition, knowing love and guidance and compassion for each one of them, for each individual in our beloved community of Boulder Valley, just connecting heart to heart, screen to screen, knowing that through this environment that has changed our normalcy, that we will all emerge through this experience stronger, better, more complete, and more connected. And so it is my absolute grace and great thanksgiving. It is my honor to speak these words on behalf of CSL Boulder Valley, of our loved ones, of our nation, of our world. Knowing health and healing, love, light, and joy is expressed through every single one of us. And I release this into the law, knowing that as I release my word is done. Because the universal law always says, yes, my beloved, as you believe, and I so believe. And so in this moment and every moment in the future, I am grateful. I let go. I know all is well. And we say together, and so it is. Blessings to you. Be well. Much love.
You've given me wings to fly, a song to sing, the way that you touch my life means everything. And with my wings spread wide, now I know I will always have wings to fly. Before I knew the light of you in my life, I never realized all that I could do with my life. I was lonely, so lonely. I never knew which way to turn. Should I cross that bridge or let it burn? Then you gave me wings to fly, a song to sing, the way that you touch my very life golden sun. It makes me know that I'm a part of everything and everyone I never knew before. Life was such an open door, just waiting for me. Opportunity. Now I feel like I can soar, 'cause you've given me wings, wings, wings to fly. Now I will always, will always, will always have wings, wings to fly.
Thank you, Karen. Karen Karsh, that was just beautiful as always. Thank you. Now is the time in our service for our offering. In our online world, we don't have a basket to pass around. So I invite you to gather, before we do our offering affirmation, gather your method of giving, whether that's your checkbook, the app on your phone. If you're going to send it through our website, the address is cslbouldervalley.org. In the upper right-hand corner, we have a donate button. Click on the button and it brings you to a page that gives you our mailing address. It has takes credit cards from right there safely. We also have an amazing app you can download on your phone. It's safe. You set it up once and you can just give right from there. So I encourage you, grab your method now and let's hold it up to our heart as we breathe in our offering affirmation, knowing that right now we are circulating and giving and receiving with abundance that is truly ours. And if you will repeat with me our offering affirmation. This perfect gift is spirit in form, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you for your continued support of the center. And some of the things our center is doing to support you right now is our practitioners, me included, and all of our practitioners are available for prayer. We're available just to talk if you are feeling lonely or you have some questions about some feelings or things going on. Reach out to any of us. Our contact information is on the website. You can text us, call us, email us. Just email and ask for prayer. We are available for you. This is what we do. So please reach out. We're trying to also provide opportunities for you to give back if this is something you are in a space to do. Our outreach this month is Sister Carmen, and there is a great need in our community across the country for food. So we have set it up. Our Board of Trustee member, Jim Shank, is willing and able to come pick up food at your house. Just give him a text or a call and he'll come pick it up and we'll bring the food, the donations to Sister Carmen for you safely, easily, and conveniently. And we feel like this is one of the greatest needs we have in the community right now. So thank you for helping. We also have one of our members, Twyla Ryan, has put together a stay-at-home mask sewing team. Working with Clinica Campesina in Lafayette, we're making masks for the employees there to help keep them safe. And she's been doing this for about a week and she's getting great feedback. They're having a lot of fun with it. So if you are a seamstress and would like to help, Twyla has kits to make 10 masks at a time and she will put them on her porch for you. The contact information is right here on the screen. And just reach out. It can be a fun and easy way to give back if this is something that you you have the skills to do to sew. Also, we have available for you Tea on Tuesdays. Our practitioner Barbara Babcock has created it at 9:30 on Tuesday morning. We're just getting together on Zoom and just connecting. It's a laid back, easy conversation. You don't have to participate. You can just soak it in. Barbara has a topic each week, and it is a great way to just keep in touch with people and know that you're not alone. And I find that after I go, I'm very relaxed. So if you can make it, do. Also, this week we have the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. This Wednesday, I will be leading a 20-minute prayer and meditation, kind of a spiritual practice to connect in with Earth on this 50th anniversary. There is a lot going on our planet right now, and I feel very compelled to lead this. It's free, it's via Zoom. We will have the Zoom link either on our website and on Facebook. Or just text me and I'll send it to you. Shoot me an email. We've also had one extra thing. We are adding a spiritual forum next week. With us being online, we have some new opportunities. We have a speaker from out of town. His name is Vincent Jenna, and he will be speaking on the coronavirus, an opportunity to face and conquer our fears. Again, this will be free via Zoom, so please join us April 30th from 7 to 8. I would like to thank Claudia Milner for an amazing talk today, Catherine Snyder for putting this video together and all of the other many things our board president does, Karen Karsh for some amazing, amazing music. She can play wherever she is. Thank you. I would also like to thank Kathy Noonemaker for all that you've done in our service today. Thank you. And I'm going to pass the baton to Kathy for our benediction and closing prayer.
Thank you, Claudia, very much for that inspiring speech that we can take with us this week and beyond into our lives. Now let's say our benediction together, which will be followed by our closing song. I now walk so that whoever walks with me knows that I hear the voice of God. I now listen so that whoever speaks with me knows that I hear the voice of God. Whoever places their hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For spirit and I are one eternally.
I send my love over the mountains, and I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. Joy, I send my joy over the mountains. Yeah, I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. I'm gonna send healing, and I'm gonna send it from all of us. We send our healing over the mountains. We send healing over the sea. We send healing into the heavens, and it returns to you and me. One last time we're going to sing. We send our love. Here we go. We send our love over the mountains. We send our love over the sea. We send our love into the heavens, Love